they were obsessed with turning any political opponent into a category to justify law enforcement action against them by calling them domestic violent extremists. Speaking of the FBI, there's got to be accountability for what they did to Trump and to many other American citizens. You know, when I see members of the Senate tell Kash Patel he needs to rescue the FBI and raise up the good guys, I'm thinking, you know, where is he doing? Where are the Republicans in the Senate demanding justice for what the FBI did and throwing out the bad guys? Now, to be fair, some did raise that, I guess, but not with equal vigor. They sent FBI agents to my home to issue to serve a subpoena. Knock, knock, knock on my door. Other Americans also face that type of retaliatory abuse and intimidation by the Biden administration, happily from the FBI. They raided the home of President Trump on trumped-up issues related to document retention by a former president. To describe it is to condemn it. And Judicial Watch was second and is second to none in trying to expose what went on. Lawsuit after lawsuit, FOIA after FOIA, and we've paid for this through the abuse of the FBI and the Justice Department and the Jack Smith gang. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but they fired 12 of Jack Smith's Justice Department attorneys that were working for him, happily trying to destroy and abuse Trump. And me. And Judicial Watch. And so we complain, and what does the FBI do? What does the Justice Department do? They suggest if you complain about what they're doing, you're increasing security threats to the abusers. Oh, you can't complain. You're going to get someone hurt if you complain about government abuse. It's absurd. So sure enough, we received 8 pages of records from the Department of Homeland Security where they were sending out what, in my view, was a fake document designed to inflame the fake narrative that there were significant security threats from Trump supporters as a result of the FBI's raid on Mar-a-Lago. This is from a 2022 lawsuit we filed, so it took them almost 3 years to give us the records. For all records and communications between any official employee of the Secret Service and any official employee of the FBI regarding the execution of a search warrant at the residence of President Trump. So it's interesting. We were asking more about the records about, you know, how did they link up to try to destroy Trump, and how did the Secret Service involve itself in that? But in addition, we got these supposed security issue documents from them as well as a result of this request. A widely distributed email dated August 13th, 2022, less than a week after the raid, sent to officials in the FBI, ATF, Bureau of Prisons, the FDA. They were involving the FDA in issues related to the Trump raid on his home, Mar-a-Lago. State Department also included. Recent threats against law enforcement. Colleagues, I want to provide you an update on the FBI's response to the heightened threats against law enforcement following the FBI's investigation actions in Palm Beach, Florida. By that they mean an unprecedented bad faith raid on President Trump's home. Attached is a joint intelligence bulletin that provides information on the potential threats posed by domestic violent extremists, meaning you. That's who they consider to be a domestic violent extremist. In context, and generally speaking, understanding how they operate and have operated, they were obsessed with turning any political opponent into a category to justify law enforcement action against them by calling them domestic violent extremists. People in churches, children, as Cash was testifying earlier this week, parents worried about what their kids are being taught, etc. And the Joint Intelligence Bulletin talks about the potential for domestic violent extremists to carry out attacks on federal, state, and law enforcement and government personnel or facilities. The bulletin is being shared in light of an increase in threats and acts of violence, including armed encounters against law enforcement, judiciary, and government personnel in reaction to the recent execution of a court-authorized search warrant in Palm Beach. And there's no detail about it. It's all vague. There was one incident that they did get specific on, which was troubling. Some guy who was upset generally about things forcibly tried to enter the FBI's Cincinnati field office and break a glass barrier. He fled the scene. A pursuit ensued. And the guy, Schiffer is his last name, entered a standoff with the FBI and law enforcement, firing multiple shots at responding officers, and he was killed. And this is the outlook. In recent years, domestic violent extremists adhering to different violent extremist ideologies have coalesced around perceptions of government overreach. So again, targeting at conservatives and election fraud to threaten and conduct violence. They're just making it up. They're just making it up. Now, for instance, that Cincinnati incident, is it worth sharing with interested parties? Of course it is. Give people a heads up about a potential security threat. But here they take it to the next level and suggest a mass political movement radicalizing people to violence because of what Republicans are saying about election fraud, which is their right under federal law and the Constitution, part of their God-given rights, and, quote, government overreach. So this is more of the same out of the deep state. They abuse Trump by raiding his home, and then they come up with intelligence documents justifying basically law enforcement activity against his supporters because they are expressing upsetness about what happened to him. I wonder if this is why I got my subpoena. Because Judicial Watch was second to none in calling out that abuse, suing to get documents about it. We sued, so we got subpoenaed and harassed before the Jack Smith grand jury. The FBI raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home was an incredible abuse of power based on false allegations. The raid was followed by the FBI distracting the public with a politicized document slyly tying President Trump and other critics to threats over this abuse. I don't trust the FBI. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.